Welcome to the Project DIY Hunter Podcast. If you're thinking about hunting DIY or if you've been hunting DIY for a long time, this podcast is for you. We invite you to join us as we seek to gain knowledge to continue to be successful DIY hunters. Thanks for listening and enjoy the podcast. So what is going on, listeners? Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to hit that download for all our episodes. Check them out. So this episode is going to be about what we're planning to take to Colorado. It's not what we're gonna take. You know, it's a work in progress, and we're gonna come and do another episode and tell you what we're gonna take to Colorado, and then we're gonna come back and tell you how it performed. So check this episode out, listen to it, be prepared for another episode to come out once we get back, and then we'll review it and be like, hey, this was a bust, this was awesome. We suggest this, we don't suggest that. So, and that's kind of what all this is about, you know, bringing our experiences to life for you, and that way you can decide if you want to take it or not. And you know, and it's just what we experience. You know, it'd be totally different for somebody else that experienced different conditions or different altitude or different places. So anyways, thanks for listening and enjoy this episode.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Project DIY Hunter Podcast. I'm joined with my boy Charles Kelly, as most times. We're not going to say always, because sometimes one of us is busy. But how you doing today, Charles?
Good, man. Good. Had a good day at work. Those tornadoes never came, so that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it was supposed to get bad. The funny part about that is it was all sunshines and rainbows until I decided we had to do a covered walkway at work, and I had to put plastic on it. And I got on top of the scaffold to start, putting the plastic out, and it come a pouring. When I'm standing on top of a scaffold, probably 20 foot high, and it started lightning and thundering, and I had to hurry up and get down. It was a fun day. Then the plastic got blown everywhere. So
Jess didn't even go to work
later
today.
It was shiny. Oh,
yeah, they canceled Jess's work.
They canceled school.
That's crazy.
I mean, it stormed for 30 minutes here, and wasn't that bad. I mean, I'm happy it wasn't that bad. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of other places It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as they said it was going to be. So that's a good thing.
Count our blessings on that one.
So what we got on the docket today, Charles? I know we're gonna talk about gear, but that's a very broad subject.
Yeah, I think we try to start with just hunting gear and kind of break it up between hunting gear and backpacking, camping type gear. I think would be a good way to break it up.
Yeah, we should probably stay away from optics and all that other stuff right now, and just kind of do the fundamentals at the beginning, and do another episode on all that. Because if not, it's going to be a long episode.
Yeah, this would be more like a gear list, I guess you could say, and not much as a review. We can review the stuff later.
I guess we'll jump into our clothing. I think that's a good place to start, because there's so many different options out there. I feel like that's the one. Well, I myself am that guy that I kind of want to listen to what people say before I go buy it. So I'm very particular about my hunting clothes. Like, I used to be a Sitka guy, and I absolutely loved it, but I got to a point where I had a bunch of Sitka duck hunting stuff, but I'm kind of bougie, so I didn't want to wear my duck hunting stuff deer hunting, so I had to buy Sitka deer hunting stuff, and next thing I know, I'm a couple $1,000s into it, and I got a match, and I needed more and more and more, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta stop. So I sold all my Sitka stuff to one of my buddies, and he got a good deal on it. But I'm going to First Light. I really like First Light's line. They I'm not going to say it's budget friendly, but it's friendlier than someone like Sitka or Kuiu. I mean, some items are expensive still, yeah, but I mean, it's still performance items. It's moisture weakening. Some of it's wool, some of it's synthetics. They just got a really good product, and me personally, I like it. Charles is kind of leaning towards going the Sitka route.
Yeah, I like Sitka. I really like my Cabela's brand right now, though, because it was, it wasn't like super cheap, but I paid for what I would have paid for Sitka. I'd have had to pay $1,200 for the setup I have now in Sitka. So I think I pay like $360 for my whole.
Well, I know Cabela's just come out with a, I guess the 2.0 version of their
Right.
performance gear. It's expensive.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go buy Cabela's brand, it ain't gonna be expensive. If you know what I mean, I'm gonna go
Right.
buy name brand. I'm not taking anything away from Cabela's brand either, but I don't know. I just feel like they're kind of joining the game late.
Right. I mean, their pair of pants, the new Instinct pants they got, is $200. I mean, you can get some nice Sitka pants for $160.
Yeah, well,
So
180s for the I think the gradient pants,
right.
and they're. I mean, I had them. I mean, they were nice. I had the grinder pants, had the gradient pants, I had the duck oven jacket, I had the Hudson jacket, I had the Hudson bibs, had the. I mean, I had a good bit of stuff, and it. I mean, it worked great. Now, don't get me wrong, it was good stuff, but like I said, I can look like an absolute bum going to Walmart, but when I put on camouflage, I got to look good. And yeah, I couldn't keep spending money on stuff to keep fueling my habit. So I'm
Yeah.
actually that's one of the reasons I'm going to First Light and just getting like a neutral color, and I can wear it to work, I can wear it out to dinner. I'm not one
Right.
that wants to wear my camouflage, duck hunting Sitka jacket to Texas Roadhouse when I go eat a steak. It's but if I go buy maybe a brown one or a khaki one, I could do that, and I guess
Right.
it'd be more stylish. Plus, you can wear it at. Me and Charles both have to do a lot of meetings and stuff, and you can wear a nice plain color jacket to your business meetings and stuff instead of trying wearing a camouflage rain jacket. Which nothing against it if that's what you do, but my boss don't like
Right.
it.
Well, you want to dive in a little deeper and talk about wool and synthetic, and
Yeah, yeah.
so I think you're definitely a wool guy, right?
Yeah, I'm 100% wool guy. I started wearing wool about, I don't know, probably 10 years ago. I bought a wool pullover from Max Prairie Wing for like $70. And it don't fit now. My belly button hangs out. But I passed it down to my fiance, which is big on her, but it keeps her warm. But it was the cool thing about this particular pullover, it had polyester lining, so you didn't itch because it was real wool, and it was windproof. So not only, which is a huge thing, if you buy any camouflage, I highly recommend for cold weather, anyways, windproof stuff. It don't have to be
Yeah.
waterproof, because you can dictate if it's going to rain, if you want to hunt or not. But you can put on as many clothes you want to, and if it's windy outside, it's going to cut through it. So
Yeah, you
definitely get
definitely need a
windproof stuff.
windproof layer for
And
sure.
but I've got it wet. I did still maintain my warmth, which is it dries super fast. Uh, I wore it. I mean, I hate to admit this, but I wore it for a whole duck season without washing it, and it
Right.
don't stink. It don't hold odors. Just the longevity of it is it's an awesome material. So like First Light's got a new pair of pants out. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's this wool pants. It's a wool blend pant, and I think the temperature rating on it is like 60 degrees to 25 or 30 degrees. It's just it really helps regulate your body temperature no matter the extreme temperature changes. Which is another cool thing about wool is just because it's a thick layer, if it gets a little warmer, it breathes. So you you can regulate your body temperature easier. Now, if you're out here, humping up a mountain, you're gonna get hot no matter what you're wearing. I mean, you probably,
Right.
but it definitely helps, and that moisture wicking, keeping you warm, no matter even if it gets wet. I mean, that's a huge thing for one, staying warm. For two, for safety. I mean, you could be out in the middle of God knows where, and something happen, you fall in the water or whatever. It'll help you stay warm and not get hypothermia. So it's definitely a
Right.
good safety thing too.
Well, let's go in and kind of talk about um, what our layering system looks like. I mean, I know we're going to Colorado, second rifle, so should be pretty cold. I think around in the 20s for the lows at night, and well, who knows at that time of year. But I think my layering system is going to be a medium to light pant, and then some puffy pants. and then I'm going to layer, my underlayment, merino wool under, tuck on the skin, and then a long sleeve something. I'm not quite sure yet. Then I'm gonna do a vest, and then um, a hoodie of some sort, and then my actual puffy jacket if I need it. And that way I can take all those layers off and stick them down in my pack, and pull those out when we start glassing and whatnot. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go long john route or not. I mean, I'll probably end up taking a light pair. What are you thinking on your layer system?
Well, as you know, I'm First Light guy, and I'm not going to name drop brand specific item names, but I'm going to tell you about them. First Light come out with a zip off pair of long johns, so I don't have to take my boots off and everything to take them off if I get hot. I can just drop my pants, unzip them, take them off. So my next of skin is going to be them or Smart Wool Light, depending on the weather. I mean, if it's going to be weather fluctuating a lot, like cold at night, warm during the day, I'm gonna take the zip offs. But if it's gonna maintain kind of chilly, I'm gonna go with a medium next to skin long john and just don't plan on taking it off ever. And then I'm gonna get the wool pants, of course, and a pair of puffy pants, and that's all on my bottom half, other than my fit wool socks and my hiker boots. But which I'm still torn between boots. That's a whole nother animal. I can't figure out what I want to do. But for my up top, I'm definitely wearing Murano wool, medium long john shirt. I'm gonna have a heavyweight shirt. I'm gonna have a vest, windproof vest, and I'm gonna have a puffy jacket. And I'm also gonna have the storm tight pants and jacket in case snow comes or whatever. So that's kind of my layering system. It's going to fluctuate when we get closer. I might add a couple, one or two things, or I might take off. Maybe I might go from a medium to a light long john, depending on what the prediction is the week before we go. I mean, I want to be sure I have enough stuff, but I don't want to take too much and just be hot all the time and carry around clothes I don't need.
Right.
Um, and for extra clothes, I mean, I'm gonna take one or two extra pair of underwear and one or two pair of socks in case they get wet. And that's it. I'm not carrying extra pants, or anything like that. So
Yeah.
a lot of it I'm gonna wear in. I'll put it that way. I mean, I only plan on carrying, my puffies. Essentially, it's kind of my goal just for insulation layers.
Yeah. Um, so do you run liners in your sock liners in your boots, or
No,
you
I
just run a
don't.
one pair sock?
Yep, I'm running one pair of socks. There's a company called Fits that are wool athletic socks. Essentially, I mean, they're when I say athletic, I don't mean they cut off at the ankle. I mean they are custom. They're athletic cut to your foot. So the toes and the heel is thicker than the rest of the whole sock.
Right.
So it's made for wear and tear. But I've wore them socks in 20-degree weather, camping out here in a tent, and stayed warm no problem. So that's probably the sock I'm going to run. I'm really impressed. I'm still playing with it and I'm still wearing it. Like I'm going camping this weekend, but it's going to be warm. Well, warmer. It's going to be probably in the 40s at night. And I'm still going to take the sock to see how they regulate. I don't want to sweat a lot in them, but I don't plan on taking insulated boots. I'm probably gonna take uninsulated boots just for weight for one and for comfort. Uh, if I can get away with just my socks and a waterproof boot, that's kind of the route I want to go without liners.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. Maybe we can do some kind of podcast at the airport or something and talk about what we actually brought compared to what we're talking about now in March.
What we're talking about, we're
Yeah.
gonna bring. Well, I mean, if it was up to me and I could carry it all, I'd essentially take the whole store.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess another question would be, what do you plan to wear in your sleeping bag?
Uh, I'm gonna sleep in my long johns, my next to skin stuff. A lot of people, try to leave some other clothes on, I guess, and use them for insulation layers while you sleep. I'm just always kind of scared of what if it gets colder than they say? You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
sitting there in all of my clothes and still cold as hell in my sleeping bag. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to do that. So I try to base it off of in my long johns and then I can have the other clothes if I need them. But for one, you're gonna be more comfortable if you don't put all that stuff on,
Right.
and for two, you have it for if you need it.
Right. And I'm planning on running a liner in my bag too. That'll probably add, 10 to 15 degrees to whatever my bag is.
Well, well, that's something I want to talk about. I actually did a lot of research on liners not long ago because, and the reason I did, it's kind of weird. My stepson's bag it's a 50-degree bag. We go camping all the time. We was going camping. It was going to be like 30. So I read it. You gain 20 degrees on it, and uh, it's a lie. That is a 100% lie. The dude at Appalachian Outfitters told me a liner will probably roughly do 5 degrees at a comfort rating. That's it. So there are other liners out there that'll do more. So be sure you buy a quality liner, not
Right.
just one at Academy that's a fleece liner, because it's not going to add what it says it's going to.
Right. And they have some of those that are just to make it we don't have to wash your sleeping bag as much.
Yeah,
They're
that's
not there's no R value there.
yeah. So be sure you buy a quality liner. Don't go buy the $10 one at Academy like I did my stepson, and he froze. And I mean, he should have worn more clothes. But I told him 5 times he don't want to listen. So that was on him. But yeah, no, read it, read the reviews on it, and make sure you get a good quality liner.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to be running the big Agnes Sandhofer 20 degree. That's the plan right now. I do not have one of those yet. So I'm planning on getting one and kind of trying it out some.
Is it
Hopefully
a
here soon.
is it a down or synthetic bag?
Just down.
Down. What makes you want to do
Yeah.
down?
Just well, I mean, right now I have a synthetic, and it takes up so much room in my pack that it's kind of ridiculous how much room it takes up. And so I was thinking about getting something that compacts a little better down in the bottom of my bag. So that was kind of the thought, really the thought process behind that, and it's obviously lighter too, and I don't know, warmer or whatnot. But basically, just the size of it in my bag was a real plus for me.
Well, you see, I'm actually running a Catch Meow right now, which is made by North Face, and it's I don't like it. And there's a couple of reasons why. It's a mummy bag for one, and I'm too big for a mummy bag around the shoulders and the stomach, so it's super tight. I like to move around when I sleep. I'm a side sleeper. Mummy bags just not for me. Yeah, they're warmer because you don't have as much air between your body and the pad and all that stuff. But if I ain't comfortable, I ain't gonna be able to sleep anyways. So I'm actually been looking at quilts, and I've been looking at synthetic quilts because of they dry out faster if they get wet. And I know I'm gonna have my bag in a dry bag and all that stuff, but condensation in a tin or whatever. If a down bag gets wet, it takes a long time to dry out, and you're not gonna stay warm if it's wet. Now that being said, they have dry duck down and all that stuff. So whenever you're buying your down bags, make sure you're reading, if it's water repellent or if it's going to absorb water and not maintain heat, because you do not want to be out there in a wet bag and you're screwed.
Right. Yeah, because with that down, that air inside, those feathers and stuff is what actually gives you that R value. Um, so once it gets wet and collapses, you're pretty much screwed at that point.
Yeah, I actually would. I watched a video I don't know, it's been a couple months ago now, talking about downs and synthetics. I try to learn as much as I can about stuff, for one, so I can tell y'all about it, and for two, it's just it, I enjoy learning stuff. And there was a video about a guy comparing down and synthetic bags, and he actually wet the foot box on both, and the down bag froze. It literally froze solid at night, and a synthetic bag didn't. So I mean, yeah, it's going to be down bags going to be lighter. They're going to be more expensive usually. No, usually
Right.
it's going to be more packable, but there's still that case they might get wet. You got to think about that too. I'm probably going to run synthetic, like I said, but I'm going to run a quilt because, for one, the way sleeping bags work is the loft, and when you lay on a sleeping bag, you lose all the loft under your back. So you just straight rely on your pad. And I'm running a Thermarest Pro pad, which is a R5 value. which is a good value for especially for an inflatable pad. So I would definitely suggest um, looking at pads and seeing what you can get for the best. If you're a side sleeper, I wouldn't get a closed cell because it's definitely going to hurt. You don't want to closed cell pads are probably an inch thick and they're hard. I mean, and if you're a bigger person, there's people out there who can sleep on them. I'm not one of them. I mean, my pad's about 2.5 inches thick. It's self inflating. I actually have clips on the pad that I can clip to my sleeping bag clips, so the pad stays up under me, so I don't have to worry about it coming out. Which it also clips to the quilt that I'm looking at. But
Yeah,
it's
that's a
definitely
big
something
thing there.
you need to look at. You definitely need to look at R values on pads. Pad is a it don't matter how good of a sleeping bag you have. It don't matter. You can buy a $500 million sleeping bag, and if you sleep on a cold ground, you're going to get cold. It's called conductive heat. So the ground is going to pull all of your body heat out from under you. So I mean, there are people out there that are running closed cell pads and then putting inflatable pad on top of it just to maximize their R value, just because that ground gets cold.
Yeah, and I think we need to talk more about the importance of the sleeping bag actually having those hooks or way to hold that pad underneath your sleeping bag. Because if you get on any kind of a hill, you'll slide right off that pad, and then you'll be sleeping on the ground. So that is a big thing, and the reason why I know is because I didn't have one the last time I went to Wyoming, and it was a major pain.
Yeah, they there's a company out now. It's actually the one that I'm looking at. It's called ZenBivy. I I don't know how. It's something to do with Facebook. They talk about me looking at sleeping bags and stuff, I guess, and they started doing ads like they always do. That the voice that don't listening to you. Um, well, I really like it. I've read a lot about them, and I don't know. They have the way their bag works. It's a quilt with a sheet, and then it's got a hood on it. But the sheet and the hood is one, and then the quilts, are different. So you get all the comforts of a quilt, but you get the warmth around your head as a mummy bag, essentially. And it'll hook on any pad, and it's not that bad. I want to say it's like 275 for a 15 degree synthetic, and they took all the zippers and everything off on their 2.0 model, which makes it lighter. I definitely suggest looking at it. It's something if you're thinking about going down the quilt road, I would look at ZenBivy, and hopefully they stay around for a while because they're definitely on to something.
Right. So what kind of tent are you planning to take? I think your outlook on that's a little different than mine.
Yeah, we've been arguing about tents for about 3 months now, I guess. I'm looking at the One Tigress teepee tent with a wood stove option. To me, having a ground sheet and everything is not a big deal. I don't care. I'm gonna have a pad. I can take a ground tarp with me if I want to. I ain't worried about any of that. And it's like 1.1 pounds. It takes one pole to set it up. You can actually buy one that you use your trekking pole with an extension, and you don't have to worry about tent poles and a bunch of tent stakes and all that kind of stuff. You could really tie it up to a limb with paracord and not even have a stake. And that being said, I mean that One Tigress I'm looking at is like 8 foot across. So you got 8 foot by like 6 foot high in the middle. That's a big tent for 1 pound. Of course, it all depends on what if you do take stakes, what kind of stakes you take. You're gonna take the plastic ones, you're gonna take the ultralight ones and all that kind of stuff. Or are you gonna take the trekking pole extension or not? Are you gonna take the pole that you can get with it? Or all that comes into play. But I really like the One Tigress. I watched a bunch of people using it in different weather conditions, and I haven't seen anything bad about it yet. And for two, it's like $180. It's not bad at all price wise. And you combine that with the wood stove option that I'm looking at that Charles is still on the fence about. It's you can really increase your comfort level when you're out in the woods.
Right. And, one of those things that I've been thinking about is, the weather is all, you never know what the weather is going to be, on top of one of these mountains, and if the wind gets up or something like that, the kind of tent that you're talking about would be, hard to keep up. Um, so I mean, you got to kind of look at the weather before you go, and I'm looking at the Nemo Hornet 2. I'm looking at a 2-person tent, and it's 1 pound 15 ounce. Um, and one thing I like about it, it has 2 doors, so that way, if you can get a tent with a one front door, then you got to climb over all your stuff or the other person, or it's just not as comfortable. But that's one thing you got to think about is the weather about the tent that you're talking about, Kenny, is um, it's good and bad in bad weather. So in wind, that is kind of when you start worrying. Is this tent going to be able to stand up to high winds? But also when you're hunting, in the high country, fog will set in, and you might spend, rain and fog are set in, then you might spend hours a day in your tent, not being able to get out and do anything because, it's foggy and rainy. There's really no point in it. Um, and then you have that stove to keep you warm and just to keep the morale kind of up, which in the tent that I'm talking about, you obviously can't put a stove in it. So
Well,
that's my kind of take on the tent thing. So
just so everybody knows, we've been having more than one argument about this whole tent thing. I'm still kind of hurt that Charles don't want to share a tent. Um, I'm sitting there thinking, why do I stink? Like, I mean, that's less stuff we have to carry. I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the point of sharing a tent as much as I think we need 2 options. That way, we can be like, man, this is supposed to be super windy. We probably should go with this tent with a floor and poles or hey man, the weather's supposed to be awesome. Let's take this tent, or it's supposed to be really cold. Let's take the tent with the stove. I guess it really all depends on your situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have options for sure, but I mean, I'm kind of scared of Bigfoot, so I'm pretty sure I can run faster than Charles. So I just kind of why I want him there, so I can outrun Bigfoot. That's literally probably the only reason.
Bigfoot, as in grizzly bear.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he has a big foot too. So,
Yeah.
Speaking of that, everybody listen to. I'm gonna have to tell you about this story. Everybody listen to the podcast where I have my good friend Randy on. I'm gonna get him back on soon to have some more stories for sure. But he's got one story about Bigfoot that actually made national news. And well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't even say national. It aired in Japan too. Um, I'll get him on here to tell you that about that story and about how that unfolded. I mean, he is a firm believer Bigfoot exists. So, yeah, we'll get on here and talk about that. So I guess what's next is we didn't talk about pillows. I got him.
Oh yeah, you got to have that pillow.
I'm about to have a heart attack thinking about what pillow I'm going to take when we go on this trip. See, right now I'm kind of spoiled because I take my pillow from the house and I use a my pillow and I like it. To me, a pillow is my number one thing when it comes to sleeping, and these inflatable pillows suck. I mean, I like a soft pillow that cradles, feels like I'm sitting, in my mama's arms when I was a baby, and these inflatable pillows just don't do it for me. Um, I don't know what route I'm gonna go. I might end up having to get a compression bag and just compress my pillow down and take it with us.
Hey, strap it on there.
Yeah. I actually have a Thermarest extra large pillow right now, and it's not enough. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to take it and the blow up, I guess, to get the height that I want. Because the pillow is kind of comfortable, but it's open cell foam and it collapses. And next thing you know, your head's laying on the ground in the middle of it. It's all that stuff. So I end up folding it in half. But yeah, no. So if y'all have any suggestions on thick pillows for side sleepers for backpacking, be sure to send us an email at projectdiyhunter@gmail.com because I am about to pull my hair out.
And I'm just going to run just a Sea to Summit blow up pillow that weighs like a couple ounces.
Well, I'm sure you're a back sleeper. I'm not.
Yeah. And, I have thought about just rolling up my puffy jacket and using that, but
I can't do it. I'm too bougie. I am way too bougie for that. Some comforts I'm not getting rid of.
Yeah, so I guess we need to go ahead and move on down to the cooking stove. What kind of cooking stove are you planning to take?
I have. Well, I'm actually taking a Jetboil. I'm gonna take the 1 liter Jetboil, but I'm taking a MSR backup. Um, I like the Jetboils. I think they're awesome. I don't hear a lot of bad stuff about them at all. But I'm also a firm believer you need a backup in case something happens. I mean, you can always cook, over a fire, but I mean, there's some places that you go that wood's not it's not adequate. You can't just walk 5 feet and find sticks. You know what I mean? And
Right.
so I'm definitely suggest taking a backup head. So I'm taking the MSR backup head with a Jetboil. Jetboil is my primary.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be taking one stove, especially if you're going with me and taking yours, which, I could, we could share. Honestly, we would be able to share stoves and we can only have one. But, if you're worried about that backup, it'd be nice if both of us took a stove. But I think I'm going to run the JetBoil Mini Mo. Um,
Are you
I've
gonna get
really
the jet
liked it.
press with? I mean, the coffee press with it.
I don't know. I'm not a huge coffee drinker.
I feel like,
Um,
man, just sitting on the side of a mountain in Colorado in the snow, I feel like I need a cup of coffee in my hand. Like, you
yeah,
know what I mean? It's kind of more of it's kind of a thing.
yeah. And I mean, and I really think these jet bowls are the way to go. I mean, you can boil 1 liter of water in like 4 minutes and 30 seconds. To where you're open with a just like an MSR open cooking stove, um, with just a single burner, all that air and stuff. I mean, it takes it 8 minutes. I mean, it almost doubles the boil time for a liter of water. Also, I think the packability of that JetBoil. I mean, everything fits basically inside the cup, and that's awesome when you just slip that down in your bag, and when you get ready to cook some ramen or whatever, you just pull it out and it's all right there. You ain't got to go digging around or that to find what you need.
Well, one thing that I can say about about what you touched on about taking longer to boil is I actually went to Hartwell camping a couple weeks ago, and Hartwell's a lake that's around me. I mean, I'm sorry I said that, but it's Lake Hartwell. And it was super windy on the side of the island that I was on, and I tried to boil water and ended up having to take my thing in the tent to boil the water because the wind was so hard that it was just blowing that flame everywhere. And with the jet boil, you don't have to worry about that because it has, the heat dispersing fins and everything under it. So it's more of a direct heat instead of a flame heat, I guess. And it's going to be windy where we're going, and you definitely don't want to have to struggle with it. I mean, I struggled with it, and I used, I had to cut it on high, and I used a lot of fuel that I wouldn't have had to use on a jet boil. And I mean, you can get off brands that are made the same as the jet boil. I don't remember the name of it. You remember the name of it, Charles?
Camp Chef is one
Camp
of them.
Chef.
Yeah,
Well, Camp Chef's not really off brand either. They make some awesome stoves, but I just like how the jet boil has the indicator and all that stuff on it too. But yeah, that's definitely something you don't want to fight with, and it's worth the money. I mean, it's $109 for the one that I got, and you can go pick it up at Cabela's or any hiking store, and that's what everybody uses. I mean, there's a reason why it's one of the most popular stoves.
all right. So now that we've been talking about stoves, what kind of food and stuff are you planning to take? And I mean, I'm a Mountain House guy, but I mean, what are you thinking?
Biscuits and gravy every day, the whole time for Mountain House.
It's good stuff.
It's so good. I've tried a bunch of other ones, man, and there's some of them that are garbage. I'm not gonna lie. I had the beef stew. I think that's what they call it, and
Yeah,
it was terrible. I mean, it was
really, I
absolutely.
liked it.
It was. I hated it. Like I wouldn't ever get it again. So I got some more I got to play around with, but I'm definitely taking 4 or 5 biscuits and gravy, and I'm probably gonna eat it
Yeah,
for breakfast a couple times and dinner a couple times.
yeah.
For
Well, let me
lunch,
ask you
go
this:
ahead.
have you ever thought about dehydrating your own food?
I have, but there's a reason why I don't meal prep, and it's because I'm lazy. And de, de Bo Beatty does it some. Well, he's just started and recently started doing a lot more like spaghetti and all that stuff, and it looks phenomenal
Yeah,
on the episodes. And I thought about doing it. Honestly, I have to do more research on it to figure out if it's something that I want to do. because I mean, if you think about it, like dehydrated apples or fruits in general would be a
Yeah,
good snack.
yeah.
When you're up there, so it's something we definitely need to talk about. But no, honestly, I haven't thought about doing it. For one, I don't have the stuff to do it. I think you got a dehydrator for when you make jerky, but I don't have a dehydrator.
Yeah. I mean, I also thought about throwing different stuff into the Mountain House, like throw some raisins or whatnot into the Mountain House to add something else to it. I've heard of people doing that.
Well, I'm more of a just take Tabasco. You put enough
Yeah,
Tabasco on anything, it's just going to taste like Tabasco. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could eat
right.
a piece off a tree, it would be okay.
Yeah,
Or red, Frank's red hot sauce. Like the old woman says, she puts it on everything.
yeah. And yeah, I mean, I plan on taking like some little packs for lemonade and or tea and that kind of stuff, just for the evening, just get a little taste of something other than water since you've been drinking water pretty much all day. Um, Probably throw something like that in there. Is you gonna throw any kind of like mountain ops or anything like that?
I've actually been looking into Mountain Ops a lot lately. I really like the Outfit program. That's the program actually that I'm going to use to get in shape for when we go. But I don't know, man. A lot of them flavors give me acid reflux, honestly. So I'm gonna have to play
I
with them to
agree.
see which ones don't before we go. Because I don't want to have to carry around Tums and everything else. I'm probably gonna take like a couple just in case, but I don't want to have to carry all of them.
Yeah,
So it's something I have to play around with. But me personally, I don't mind water. The only time that water to me kind of sucks is when you're eating.
right.
And so I might take some lemonade or maybe some like what's it called? Crystal.
Yeah, those little packs. That's what we
Yeah.
took to Wyoming. Little
Yeah,
crystal
little
light packs.
crystal light packs with
Yeah, just to add some flavor.
but I don't know. I just have to play with it and see which ones give me acid reflux and which ones don't. I'm kind of scared to, take some stuff. Like, what if I don't use it? Because I don't mind water. Because honestly, the water we're going to be drinking, we're just going to filter it straight out of the stream. So it's going to taste. It's going to taste better than bottled water, anyways.
Right.
So I don't know. I might actually seen a trick where somebody took lemons, like real lemons, and throughout the hunt they just put pieces of lemon in their water bottle. And I
Huh.
like lemon water, so it might be something that I do.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can dehydrate a lemon, if it would rehydrate in a bottle of water. Like
Yeah, something to check
essentially,
out.
you know what I mean?
Right.
It might be something cool
Yeah.
to try to research.
Yeah, I know. I know another thing. This is kind of different than the topic we're on right now, but gummy bears when you're hiking. I've listened to tons of podcasts where they talk about gummy bears are like the best snack to eat to give you energy while you're hiking. They are kind of heavy, but I've heard multiple people say that gummy bears are the way to go while you're hiking for like a snack.
Is it because of the sugar, you think? Is it a sugar rush? Or because I've always heard trail mixes, where you want to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the sugar rush. Have to do a little more research on it and figure out what it is, but I mean I've heard it multiple platforms.
I do love some Harborough gummy bears.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of covers the food. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about with the food?
No, I haven't really sat down and tried to figure out because I haven't weighed my food. I'm not the guy that can sit here and tell you how much food I'm gonna eat every day. And
Yeah.
I'm probably that's probably gonna bite me because I feel like I need to know how much I'm gonna eat so I don't have to carry way too much or not enough. But
Yeah. A
definitely,
good.
plan out your meals. You're gonna have to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Whatever you can survive on, but you need to take snacks because for one, you're going to be hiking, burn a lot more calories than you're going to be sitting at home or cutting grass or whatever. It's a different kind of calories, so you need to be sure you take enough snacks and stuff to keep up with your caloric intake throughout the day. Because if you don't, you're just going to be gassed, and you're not going to be able to perform at peak, at your peak opportunities, or your you know just because you don't have the energy level. Because it's you got to keep your calories up, or you're going to end up getting sore and getting real tired and fatigued a lot faster.
Yeah. Yeah, and a good rule of thumb for your food per day is about 2 to 2.5 pounds. That's kind of
Now,
a good. That's a good rule of thumb to go by.
now there are some extremists out there that they'll get down on a pound and a half, and it sounds like a lot, but when you start thinking about like a pack of M&Ms, I mean that's a quarter pound.
Yeah.
I mean, a pound adds up fast.
Yeah. So now I guess let's move on down to tracking poles, headlights, that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to run some cheap aluminum tracking poles, and I've done a little bit of research and for the cost versus the weight difference between aluminum and carbon fiber, I'm just not seeing it. Um, I love the ones I have now, and I think they were $40 for the pair.
Now, are they twist lock or are they the tab lock?
They're definitely tab lock. I've heard a lot of bad things about the twist lock, but lock.
You see, I actually have tab locks myself, and I like them. I mean, they're Black Diamond cheapos from I think I got them at Sportsman's Warehouse for like $60.
Yeah.
Uh, the one thing I did, because I was kind of excited, so I tried them out in the backyard. If you're a heavy walker and you kind of slam your arms as you walk, over time they kind of work their way down. And I kind of wish I could
Huh.
tighten it, but I'm scared that if I tighten it too much, I'll end up denting the aluminum pole.
Breaking them, yeah.
And I don't
See, I
want to
haven't
do
had
that.
any trouble with mine.
Well, I'm a heavy walker, like I'm putting my arms down when I'm going. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I am in 4-wheel drive mode going. So I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I'm slamming them, but I guess I'm not graceful either. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of torn on, do I want to go get a cheap pair of twist locks to see if I like them.
Yeah, I've heard twist locks doing exactly what you're talking about. But you never know.
It's
Depends
kind of
on
one of them things you got to. I mean, they make both of them for a reason. People like this
right.
one, other people like this one. I looked at the Leaky's $200 carbon fiber ones. I like the way the grips are, but not for $160 markup from what I paid for mine.
Yeah, yeah, it's unreal what you can pay in trekking poles.
Yeah, I mean, and they're
Um,
with the monopole, which is cool. I like the monopole, but I need two of them. Like, I don't want to be a 3-wheeler. I want to be a 4-wheeler.
right. Yeah, I agree. So headlights, Black Diamond Spot. That's the way to go.
350, baby. I like the Spot 350. They have another one that's bigger that I haven't got. I want to get it. Charles turned me on to the Spot 350, and I've been absolutely in love with it. I like the touch feature. I like the battery level feature, and the batteries last, pretty good ways for a headlamp.
This that bright.
And it's cheap. I
Forty
mean, yeah,
bucks.
$40 at Cabela's or online and Amazon, and it's got the
You might even
comfort
find it cheaper.
headband. Like I'll probably end up buying another one to take for my backup because I can lock it where it don't drain the batteries.
That is a big thing there for it don't turn on in your pack. And I've heard of horror stories of people pull their light out, and it not work just because it's been on in their backpack for all day.
And honestly, when I go camping, I never use the Spot. The only time I use the Spot is when I hear something in the bushes or something. I touch the side of it, and the Spot will come up. Well, it'll come onto a flood, and you can see, and it's just instant. You don't have to worry about hitting buttons or nothing. You just literally touch the side of it, and man, it's a bright spot. Like it'll get out. You could see something 50 yards away.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth. Now I'm curious to see how the bigger one does. I've thought about getting the bigger one because I love flashlights. Like if I get a new flashlight, I'm gonna go play with it when I get home in the dark. That's just me. I'm a big kid when it comes to flashlights. I don't like being in the dark. I don't use night lights or nothing, but if I got a flashlight, I'm gonna play with it. I can thank my daddy for that one because I always had to hold the flashlight for him. And it's the only
I
thing I
hated
ever
doing
did that
that.
I didn't get yelled at. uh, but yeah, what are you gonna take for? Are we gonna take a lantern? Are you thinking about lantern? I actually got a. I can't remember the name of it, and I hate that I can't remember the name of it. But I got an inflatable solar panel USB charger lantern the other day. That's 300 looms on high, and it'll last like 4 hours on a full charge on high. It's pretty sweet. And you can charge it takes like 8 hours of direct sunlight to charge it, but you can charge your phone 3 times off of it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet. And I
How
think
much does it weigh? Do you know?
I don't know how much it weighs. I mean, I come totally unprepared to talk about the lantern, but half a pound maybe. I mean, that's probably
Yeah.
I'm probably high. It's not that heavy. It's probably and it folds flat to about an inch thick by about a 6-inch disc. Until you blow it
Yeah.
up, and you blow it up, it's probably 8 inches tall by 6-inch disc.
Yeah.
Um, It's nice. I used it camping not long ago, and my stepson gets it out all the time. Just go run around the backyard with the dog with it. It's definitely a fun investment. I think I paid $50 for it at Appalachian Outfitters, and it was worth it. I like it.
Yeah, so I guess we move on to satellite communicators. I think you're looking at the InReach and I'm looking at the Zelo,
Why are you looking at the Zelo?
the Zolo. Yeah, I mean it's cheaper, I guess you could say. And so with the InReach, you have to pay an activation fee, and then you have to pay a monthly fee. And so with the Zolio, you don't have to do that. I mean, it's the basics $20, and then you have 25 messages included, and it's like you can get the In Touch, and it's 250 messages for $35, and then every additional message is 25 cents, and then it's like $50 for the unlimited. I mean, which are cheaper, for the plans, but it is, a $200 unit.
Well, I was looking at the InReach Mini, and I guess I liked it. I mean, I don't know how much yours is. I haven't done any research on that one particular one. Uh, but mine's about 350. The one I'm looking at is it don't have it has a screen on it, but it don't have like maps screen on it. It's more of a like what settings you're running screen at the moment,
Yeah.
and you can use your phone, for I guess everything else. But I like it just because of the compactability of it. It's absolutely it's it's small. I mean, it'll fit in the palm of your hand, and honestly, I'm not going to use maps that much. It has active live tracking, and my spouse can log in and see where I'm at and kind of follow me where I go. And it has SOS feature and all that stuff on it too, which is important. But uh, I'm kind of honestly, Charles, it's kind of scaring me on about the fees. I don't guess I've done enough research on the activation fees and contract, how much it costs a month for text message and all that. It was kind of more of a. I guess I'm in the beginning stages of it. It was kind of I seen it and thought it was cool.
Yeah, so I was wrong. The Zolio does have a $20 activation fee, but it does have the cheaper plans. But the Bivy stick is the one that doesn't have the activation plans, and it is right there with the Zolio when it comes to the plan size. I mean, they use it credits. It's $40 for 100 credits and $50 for unlimited. Um, but it's $350, and it's just basically kind of like a memory stick that you put it in your USB on your computer. I mean, it's not much bigger than that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something cool to look into too. I mean, there's so many different options out there for GPSs, but just don't be stupid and not go with the one. Like
Right.
your phone's not amazing; it's not going to work everywhere.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome to have for an actual GPS, but to communicate um, for SOS if you ever need it, it's it's nice to have one of these satellite communicators, and especially if you got a wife back at the house or kids that you want to talk to and catch up with at the end of the day. It's definitely a luxury to have that makes it worth it.
Yeah, no, it's the biggest safety. I mean, and of course, if I go out there and I kill a monster, I'm going to want to call my woman. So that's going to give me a opportunity to shoot her a text and tell her, I got one down. I'm not, and she's not worried about me. I mean,
Right.
I couldn't imagine it. Back in the day out west when men would go on trips for 3 or 4 months at a time. That woman sitting at home not know if they're coming back or not. Like
Yeah.
we live in a different world now to where I couldn't do it.
Yeah. So I guess now that we've talked about all the camping gear, I think we're going to talk about hunting specific hunting gear at a later episode. But I mean, let's talk about packs real quick. What are we going to put all this stuff in?
I am going Mystery Ranch Beartooth 80. For one, it's a big pack that I can put whatever I want to in. I want to say it's 51 or 5,300 cubic inches.
Yeah, it's 5185 cubic inches.
And the price ain't that bad. I mean, it's it's got the extra light frame. I think it weighs 6.4 pounds, 6.5 pounds.
Yeah, 6.7, 6.5.
So it's a light pack. It's a big pack. It's got the hoist system on it. It's got a meat shelf on it, so you can haul back your quarters or whatever you need to do. Uh, it's the one that talks to me honestly. Which one are you looking at?
So I'm looking at the Metcalf, but which I haven't decided obviously between the Metcalf or the um, Beartooth 80. I really like the Metcalf just because it's a little bit lighter. I don't know if I need all that room, especially when I move to the down sleeping bag. Um, yeah, and with the Metcalf, it's 5 pounds 7 ounces, so it's a whole pound lighter, but you are losing almost 1,000 cubic inches. It's 4335 cubic inches. But the pack that I took out to Wyoming, I think was around 31. So that's giving me a lot more room, and I'm also upgrading on some items, so they're getting smaller. So I think I would have plenty of room. It's also about $70 cheaper. Um, but no, I haven't made up my mind 100% yet because I'm all about getting something that's going to last forever. So I don't have to buy nothing hopefully for a long time. And when we start elk hunting and that kind of stuff, where you got to have more stuff, or we go, I think we're planning on going with a 5 day trip, and then when you start talking 7 8 day trips, you got to have that Beartooth 80.
One thing I've learned about all this backpacking stuff is the more money you spend, the smaller it gets. So you're like, man, I just paid $400 for this little bitty thing. Like, what am I thinking? And then you're like, oh, this is amazing. So don't be scared to lighten stuff up for sure. The biggest things when it comes to backpacking for we're not going to say survival because you know what you need to survive, but we're going to say comfort and making it
Right.
easier. Stuff to not skip on would be your boots, your sleeping stuff, and your backpack. Because for one, you got to be able to carry it in, and a better backpack is just gonna, it's just gonna make everything easier. But I've watched a lot of side by side comparisons between Mystery Ranch and all the other Stone Glacier and Kuyu and all of them. And Mystery Ranch is the only one that passed all the destruction videos on GoHunt.com. They did a video comparing like 4 or 5 different packs, trying to rip the seams and tear zippers and cut fabric and all that. And Mystery Ranch is the only one that passed it all. And Mystery Ranch actually started uh, doing military backpacks, so they're a huge military backpack company now. So I support anybody that supports the military too.
Yeah,
So
100%.
definitely check out Mystery Ranch. I mean, they're a little expensive, but when you compare them to like Stone Glacier and I guess the upper end backpacks, it's comparable.
Well, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for listening. If you need to hit us up for any questions you might have, you can email us at projectdiyhunter@gmail.com. We have an Instagram, project_DIY_hunter. Then we have a YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and all those are Project DIY Hunter. So you reach out to us with any questions, concerns, reviews. Be sure to hit the download button. And thanks for listening.